Thank you, Eon. So yeah, this is actually going to be interesting for a marathon run because this is actually a category I have never run before. I do know the route, I have a few notes in front of me, but I actually have never had an established time in this, so should be interesting in how this goes. But this is Battle of Olympus. It is basically going to look a lot like Z2, so it may look a little familiar, but it plays a lot differently. So we're going to go ahead and get our heroes' names in. So we're going to have Orpheus, represented by ZHP, and the heroine, or Helen, as it is in the game manual, will be Take This. Or Take TH, because, well, that's how it goes. So, time start is on character control once I hit start, so I will give a countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, this is Battle of Olympus. It is, for all intents and purposes, a Z2 clone. You'll see that Orpheus' movement looks very, very similar to Link's, especially when he swings right now what is his club. This is the 100% category, so we will, just like Z2, be going for all items that you can see in the item sub menu. Some of them we won't use at all, some of them are really not that important, but we do have to get them anyway. One of the biggest parts about this game is the grinding. It's what actually deters a lot of runners from running it, even though it is a really good game. The currency in this game is represented in olives, or little red dots that you'll see me get from the slimes and other enemies throughout the game. There can be two potential drops. The ones that you see littered all over is the bay leaves, and the one that I just picked up is the olive. Over the course of the game, we actually need to collect 330 of these olives, so we will be doing a lot of grinding. I will get into the mechanics of the grind a little bit later because there is a specific reason why we don't do it all at once. But basically what I'm trying to do here is just group up all the slimes together. That way I can try to kill them in one shot, which I have absolutely been doing a horrible job of so far. You'll also notice that even with the bay leaves on the ground, even if I wouldn't need them, I'm still going to pick them up. That is because when an enemy drops an item, if that item is still on screen, that enemy will not respawn. So we want to make sure that we pick up all the items so we can keep respawning all 6 enemies and hope for a good series of drops. The reason the slimes are the best is because you can sort of manipulate their spawn rate. When you kill a slime, they will respawn when their X coordinate reaches the edge of the screen. So basically by killing them all together, we can respawn them all on the same X coordinate. Unfortunately, these slimes are not cooperating, so I'm going to have to split them quickly and regroup them then. So we go through various grinding sessions in this. Basically, what we are looking to do is really grab olives in increments of 45 or 50. As I said, there is a reason for that. And then we will progress on to the rest of the game. The whole premise of the game is that you are playing as Orpheus, and your love, Helen, which is in the Greek mythology, actually Eurydice, has been bitten by a venomous snake and is currently being held captive by Hades in the underworld. And your whole job is to visit the gods, get their powers, and make your trip into the underworld to save your beloved. So that's the whole thought of it. You will see mechanics from other games inserted here as well. Most notoriously, the stairs from Castlevania make their way into this game with their great mechanics that, well, if you get hit on stairs, you won't move, but if you get hit and you fall on top of stairs, you fall right through them and die. So we will have to be very, very careful about that when we get to portions of this game that have the stairs. We're a little over halfway through our first grind here. Now the enemies are cooperating a little bit more, so hopefully I can start getting olive drops from them. Right after this, we will be visiting Zeus. Zeus is going to be the first of many, many gods that we meet along this the course of this game. We will be visiting all the gods. And basically, Zeus doesn't give us any power, but what he does do is he allows us to talk to the other gods. Otherwise, they wouldn't even entertain us at all. So it is important for us to be able to talk to Zeus. So we have to go do that first. Maybe one more here, and we should be okay to go. Yeah, we do have 47, so we're actually over where we want to be. But so we are going to go take a visit to Zeus. We have a few screens to go through here in Arcadia. Also, if you like the music to Arcadia, that is going to change over the course of the game because we spend way too much time here. So we are heading to the back half of Arcadia, and we are going to encounter a bull, but we don't want to fight him, so we're just going to jump him. We inspired the Spaniards to, for, you know, bullfighting and everything. So Zeus is telling us that he heard our story, there's some stuff that we need, and we can go talk to the gods to get that. The second thing I did, and I'm going to be doing this with all gods I encounter, is I talked to him a second time to get the words of the gods. You can write that down. It is a very obnoxious password, and I just missed the bull jump. But it is an obnoxious password, but it will let you continue. But more importantly, it lets us retry in this game. Whenever you die and you continue, your olive count is actually halved, which we do not want because, well, olives are our currency, and having it means more grinding. So by hitting retry, we will actually go back to the area of the gods, and I went a little too far because I'm on the any percent route. But retrying will send us back to the gods, but it will let us keep all the olives that we had when talking to the gods. So that's why that is important. It may cost us a little bit of time, but in the long run, it is actually a lot more beneficial. So where we are going now is we are going to fight a Lamia who has actually kidnapped a child, and we are doing this so we can get the Staff of Fennel, which is the second weapon in this game, not the second best, but the second weapon in this game. Lamia is something I do not encounter a lot, so we're going to hope that I can do well with this fight. If not, that's why we saved it, Zeus. Yep. So I will be retrying. This is probably going to be one of my biggest hangups because I have not practiced this fight at all. There is another Lamia that we encounter much later in the game, but we typically just, you know, skip right by her. So, yeah, we'll see if I can get this one this time. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually go visit Athena right now and pick up her shield. That would actually help me out with blocking the attacks of the Lamia, but we're just going to try to skip that for right now. If I have to play this fight a little bit safer, I can do that too. Okay. Okay, she's not playing nice again. The other weird thing about the Lamia is her hitbox is really... Oops. Did not want to do that. So I'm actually going to take a intentional death here so I can actually retry. But the Lamia has a weird hitbox, especially when she fires her arrows. So that's why you have to be kind of careful about how you go about her, because her hitbox does extend, and you may come down on what seems to be air with nothing there. But yeah, she actually does still contact you, so it does hurt quite a bit. And I am going to try to kill some of these satyrs, so I can hopefully get a few bay leaves just to fill my health up. Come on, cooperate. Say cooperate. Okay, so they didn't cooperate. We'll see if these scorpions do. No, we're getting olives, but we don't want olives. We actually want the bay leaves. There's one. Okay, we didn't get another one. We'll just go with what we have. Hope for a better fight here. Okay. She did get me with one arrow, but... It was the fight of attrition, but I got it. So we rescued the little kid, and now we go back and talk to his mother to get the Staff of Fennel. Are going to take a little bit of safety precautions with these scorpions. Head up the stairs because, well, you know, it can't be easy to actually get to that place. But I do want to actually make sure that I do grab a little bit of health here because I will be having to do a little bit more grinding, and of course I take the death there. So I'm actually just going to continue here. It is going to be a little bit more grinding, but I should be able to do it without much issue. So with these grinds, there's actually a limit to what we can do with the grinding because the game works in kind of a weird way. There is a universal timer that determines what drops you get, but basically how that timer works out is you have a 50-50 chance of getting a drop, whether that be a bay leaf or an olive. Now, of that 50-50 chance, you have a 50-50 chance of whether you're going to get a olive or a bay leaf. So you have a 25% chance of getting an olive on any given drop. Once you hit a total of 100 drops for a certain area, your drop rate is cut in half. So then you only have a 12.5% chance of getting an olive or a bay leaf. Once you hit 75 total bay leaves or 75 total olives for a certain area, you will no longer get any more drops of that specific item until you leave the area and come back. So there is a limit to how much grinding we can actually do at any certain time before we have to leave the area and come back. So that is why we kind of try to break the grinding up like we do. And in any percent, it actually works out really nicely. We have 3 specific grinds set up at 3 very specific times, which helps fall right into the direct path of the routing. Here, there are a lot more grinds, so what we'll do is we'll actually exit and re-enter through Attica just to reset our grind counts. Right now, I do at least need 50 because of the next Ambrosia that I'm going to get. Ambrosia does refill our health completely, but it also increases our health. And there's multiple of these throughout the game that we're going to have to get, basically because they are part of the 100% run. So I will be grinding a little bit to get that, but then we'll be doing some more grinding afterwards, and that's when I'll just do my reset and make up some of the olives that I lost a little bit ago. Normally we'd be grinding to about 90 olives here. Instead, I'm just going to grind to 70 because I am about 20 behind where I would have started. Of course, I am getting all of these bay leaves, which is not helping anything at all. Typically, we want to see more olives, but when you're getting 5 and 6 drops in a row that are all bay leaves, it's not boding well because we'll probably hit the 100 before we really get too many olives from the grind. Now I am working my way over to the left here just because we do want to eventually set ourselves up to head left because that's the next area that we're going to. But I do want to be careful because in order to enter doors in this game, you have to press up, and there is a door right there in the middle of the screen. And sometimes when transitioning from left to right, my finger will tend to slightly press up, and I'll actually enter the door, which resets the spawns of the slimes. And well, then we're kind of in trouble because it costs time. So we're at 71. We're good right now. So we're going to go ahead and do a few things in Argolis once we get there. We do have a little bit more of Arcadia to travel through. You will notice a lot of references to Greek mythology because, well, this is taking place in Greece. The places, a lot of the enemies you face and everything else, we will see a lot of them throughout. So Argolis is basically the caverns of ancient Greece. And a few things we're going to do in here. First is we're going to actually go get fire for our Staff of Fennel here. A lot of snakes in this level, so we're going to do what we can. Bats are also very annoying in this game because, well, they can just interrupt you and ruin your day very quickly. So we're going to do a lot of jumping to try to manipulate them. And then we have a fight with the Neiman Lion, which didn't want to cooperate at first, but did take him out. So now we have fire that we can fire with our staff. And yeah, it's nice to have. You will see it used a little bit here, or I can just jump there and totally screw that up. So we'll be doing the grind. A little bit more grinding. We already had to make some up, so why not more? We do have one more thing we need to do here in Argolis, and actually I will be doing some grinding below because I need the olives in order to get the ambrosia. So yeah, we'll have a little fun here with some grinding. Bats don't want to cooperate either. But we do also have to talk to this guy upcoming in one of the temples. And oh my goodness. Okay, we're actually going to go back and do a grind quick because that grind would take a little bit too long. But basically, we want to talk to the guy in Hermes Temple because he's going to tell us that Hermes left and, well, we need to go back and get him. So yeah, it's kind of important to talk to him, but we'll do a grind here really quick, get ourselves back up to a decent amount. Yeah, it's going to cost us a little bit of time, but this is what happens on first playthroughs. So now we're getting our grouping a little bit better. Of course, one guy escapes and then doesn't want to play nice. The worst part about these slimes is when they do drop to the ground, their jumps are actually absolutely random. So we're just trying to hope that they jump at the right time to sort of keep them in the grouping. And as I said before, if you are not sick of the Arcadia music already, you will be. Don't worry though, because even though this game is relatively unknown, it does have some excellent music, especially for an NES title. Later on, we will encounter a lot more of that good music. I think the only reason I don't like the Arcadia music is just because I do hear it so much. For having to do this extra grind here, actually is not going too badly. We are progressing quite well, so I'm going to go probably to about 60 or so, just so we're at a decent spot. As I said, I do already know we will have to go to Attica and back in order to get ourselves to where we need to be in terms of olives. But these grinds are especially one reason why the game can be a little bit of a drag sometimes, especially when you get bad luck on them. But also because, especially if you aren't using marathon safe routes, even when you are, like I am, you can lose a lot of time if you take an unfortunate death. So that's why it does take a lot of practice. Not so much for the grinding, but knowing how to avoid taking deaths that will affect your grinds. Now later on, once we pay for everything that we need, or once we're in a situation where we don't actually have any olives in our inventory, we will be taking intentional death warps. That just makes everything a lot simpler. Right now, I will start working my way back, but I'll try to get as many olives as I can, working my way back towards Argolis. Looks like I'm pretty much to the point where I'm going to be starting getting those half drops at this point. Yeah, basically one olive at a time, so we'll go with 64. Hopefully do not take a bad, stupid death again. Of course, he stops right before the fire. Alright, now back into Argolis, and we still have to talk to the guy at Hermes Temple. So we will go do that really quick. Manipulate these bats a little bit better. That one not so much. But we can actually get through most of this without any damage and manipulating the bats correctly. So we'll jump there, manipulate them. There, that snake finally just jumped for us, so we didn't have to worry about him. And now we can finally talk. Now that we talked to him and we can go back to Hermes, we're actually gonna jump down a pit this time. But this is the Salamander Pit. We will be returning here later for another purpose, but right now we're going to be collecting the ambrosia. This is going to help me out, especially because, well, it increases my health. We get 4 extra bars here, so now I am up to 12. That hit I really don't care about, because more of the grinding, we're going to be getting that health back. Luckily, we come right back out at the entrance, and we can go back to Arcadia now. So I'll probably be breaking this grind into 35 and 35. Basically, we want to get ourselves up to about 85 olives at this point. There's one of them. And these grinds do become a little bit easier in a little bit, just because we do have the opportunity to jump a little higher, which will help us get over these slimes, as well as get a sword that the hitbox cooperates a little bit better, so that should be nice as well. So we're going to go to about 50 here, once I collect all of them. As I said, we do want to make sure that we are collecting all the items, so we do respawn all the slimes. We will actually be using that for the inverse purpose in a little bit, to where we purposely keep drops on the ground if we can, in order to ensure that an enemy doesn't respawn, because we want to make sure at certain points in this game that we can get through as safely as possible, and by having an enemy not respawn on us, we're actually going to have a lot better luck with doing that. One slime not cooperating right now. There we go. As I said, normally with health, if you have a grind coming up, you're not too concerned about it, because you will get a lot of that health back with bay leaves. As you can see, I'm getting a large quantity of bay leaves, not so much olives, even though there was a 3-drop, so that's good. This category actually hasn't really even been run much. Karma, who is actually the world record holder in both categories, recently got a sub-hour in this, which ultimately is my goal as well once I start running it a lot more. Definitely is interesting though, because while we are going through and playing these, we are realizing that this game isn't even nearly as optimized as we would think. We have actually already found a few optimizations over the world record route, so I know that we may be looking at having more runs of it in the future to get it down even further, but it's really interesting to see the optimizations that that a 31-year-old game can have. So we're to 48, so we're just going to start weaving our way over to the entrance to Attica to reset, but we'll be collecting as many olives as we can just to make the second part of the grind a little bit better. A drop like that definitely will help. One like that will not help. This game casually can be fairly unforgiving, because there is certain places where the direction and where you need to go is a little vague, and even the NPCs don't help you out much. There's also a lot of inconsistencies between what the NPCs tell you and what the game manual refers to. Like the NPCs will talk about demons and witches and everything and like that, and while there is actually nothing like that in the manual, the witches that it refers to is the Grey Sisters that you'll fight in we'll fight in a little bit. It will talk about a vampire, which is actually a Lamia much later in the game, but it's definitely something that can leave a lot of frustrations to the casual player, especially with all the mazes and everything else that you encounter in this game. Being a speedrunner and knowing the paths that you need to take, it's definitely not as bad, but in terms of the puzzles and everything, it's a fun casual game. It can just be frustrating at times. Now, I did talk about the 330 olives that we need. We're also going to need to grind out one other item a little bit later on. In the any percent route, it is actually a lot more forgiving. All that we need in that route is actually 130 olives. We'll need 60 for the ocarina that we'll get in a little bit, and then 70 for the final sword. Once we get that, we really don't have to worry about anything else, so we're not too concerned in the 80% route. But in the 100% route, in addition to those two items, we have the 50 that we spent on the ambrosia, and then two items that cost 80 olives each. So a lot more expenditures in the 100% route. So we're to 77 olives right now. Getting a lot closer. We'll be at 85 relatively soon, which is what we want. Of course, with all bay leaf drops, it will take a little bit longer. But very soon we will be able to go to our next area in the game, which actually has one of my favorite themes. So that's at least a little nicer. Unfortunately, that does not change much from the any % route, so the amount of time spent in there is a little bit shorter, so we won't get to hear the music as long as, say, Arcadia. But first, we are going to revisit Zeus's temple because that is where Hermes is hanging out. Hermes is going to give us our first item of the gods, and this item is actually a relatively interesting item because it is his sandals. It does not make our movement any faster, but it gives us the ability to jump higher, and also one additional ability which is actually even more entertaining, and that is the ability to walk on the tops of roofs and treetops. You will see it very, very shortly here, but it is critical to have these 4 Peloponnesus, otherwise the entirety of the forest is actually impossible to navigate. So definitely required to get Hermes sandals before we even go here. So we will be doing some manipulations with bats and these pink ostriches. And the navigation through here is pretty simple. We're going to go left 2 doors. We're going to go right 1 door. And hey, look, we got another god. This is going to be Apollo. And for those of us who know Apollo, we know that he'll have a harp for us. This harp will give us the ability to call Pegasus at a later time. And there's a few different benefits to that. So we go right through the next 2 doors. And now we're to the back half of Peloponnesus. Normally we would damage boost through this, but we have the fire, so we can just do that now. We'll take a hit from the bat, but we are going to fight a Hydra now. This Hydra is quite fun. That was almost a bad hit. But the Hydra is quite fun because he can troll us. Even though we do have a safe spot that normally we can take him out, he does have one jump that will actually make that a little more difficult. He also gave me a really bad spawn right there. But I should be okay now. Also, having the Staff of Fennel, he takes not as many hits as... Well, okay, he gave me the bad jump. He won't take as nearly as long as if we just had the club. Actually, maybe he will. It looks like it's still 8 hits. Okay, so Hydra is playing Big Troll this time. 1 more hit. There we go. And now we'll talk to the Fairy of Peloponnesus. And we get our next sword. Just like the club, the sword is slightly better. And now we can actually take on monsters that we wouldn't be able to with the Staff of Fennel, like the upcoming Cyclops. Walk under that bubble. Bubbles in this game are just as annoying as in Z2. They knock you backwards, they do damage. Just not a fun thing to deal with at all. Try to get through these bats without too much problem. This one's a lot simpler, unless he does that. And the final thing is we just go left 3 screens, jump to manipulate our bats. Now, somewhere in the forest, someone does allude to smacking a tree. We do that for the second ambrosia. Jump over the top here, and we have our Cyclops fight. And of course, I take unnecessary damage. Okay, taking care of him now. Okay, first things first, we're going to... Well, we're getting low on health, so we are definitely going to take the save upcoming... Oh man, that is a really, really bad death there. So, we're actually going to have to go back either that or try to farm out some olives here, because that death actually is very hard to avoid, just because it's just a happenstance death when you get hit as you're falling into the pit there. So we're actually gonna have to go in, come back out, and we're gonna go down and kill some satyrs here, hoping that they cooperate with some olive drops for us. While not as efficient as the slimes, satyrs do drop quite frequently, so we're gonna hope that they help us out. Which they are not. Because we do absolutely need the 60 olives at this point in order to grab our ocarina. We can't actually progress through the rest of Laconia without the ocarina, so definitely an important item. It's also interesting to note that is actually the first time I've ever taken a death on that screen. So, quite an unfortunate time to do so. Also, while we're over here, we are just going to do something a little out of sequence, but since we're already on the screen and already on the bottom here, we might as well do it. And that is grab our third ambrosia. There is a little bit of a cavern underneath that we can do that with. Getting a lot of bay leaf drops right now from the satyrs. Alright, 6 more olives and then we'll be good to go. Almost to the point where I do want to actually go get the ocarina first. That way, if I happen to die to get the ambrosia, I don't actually have to do this all again. Okay, just need a little more cooperation. Which, sometimes these satyrs do not cooperate. 3 more drops. Okay, 3 more olive drops. But apparently they just want to give a lot of bay leaves. A lot of bay leaves. Okay, we'll go up and we'll try to work with the scorpions here. Oh, yeah, that's not good. We don't want that. Okay, there's one of them. Monkey gave us 2. Okay, there's our last one. The monkeys and the eagles in this game are probably two of the most annoying enemies. Just because they can really mess you up in your navigation and your movement, so you want to really be careful. So here we're going to talk to Poseidon. He's going to give us Ocarina for calling dolphins. More importantly, right now for me, he's going to give me a message of the god. So if anything happens, well, I don't really have to go back to him because I don't have any olives right now. But it is a good checkpoint for us to have. Now we are going to go ahead and go down and head and get our next ambrosia. Not there. It'd help if I went to the right area. So, yeah, this place is dark, so by using the Staff of Fennel, we can actually go ahead and light it up to let us know where we are going. And hey, look, we got another one of these Cyclops. He's a little bit stronger than his previous counterpart, but we did make it through. And there's our ambrosia. Taking the careful route out. And now we're gonna go take care of our last part of Laconia here, and that is the Eye of the Gray that we need. If any of you have watched any Greek-based movies, you'll probably recognize the Grey Sisters are the ones who are always over the pot, who have the all-seeing eye and everything like that. So yeah, just like that, in this game they have an all-seeing eye, and that's what we are going to conquer. Before doing that, we will actually need to visit a harpy as well, because the harpy is blocking the way to the Gray. And we're also going to grab a flask here. This is just basically extra health that we can use. Call our dolphin and take a ride across the sea. Fish cooperated, so we're going to pull out our harp, and that is basically going to allow us to take care of the cry of the siren here. Otherwise, the siren will basically lure us in, and well, it's still doing it anyway. The hitbox on the siren is actually really annoying to combat, which I think I am going to take it on from the other side, because maybe. There, finally got the hit in. Okay, so the Gray fight's going to be fun with only 3 bars of stamina. But each one will take 3 hits. And, of course, I do take a death. Luckily, we don't have to worry about the harpy again. Just need to make the trip over there. The Gray is all about the spawn patterns. If they give you a good spawn pattern, you don't really have to worry at all. But if they give you a spawn pattern like that, where they're scattered and they're all throwing their beams at a different time, it does make the fight a lot more difficult. So, with this much health, I won't have a problem with them at all. The fish are kind of scary with their patterns right now. Okay, so yeah, I should be good. We'll go back to the harp. So just like the other room, you can actually light this up with the Staff of Fennel, but when you do this run enough, especially the any % route where you don't have the Staff of Fennel, you learn the pattern of the dungeon pretty easily and can leave. And just because doors in Greece act weird, well, we're back at the start. So now we are going to go ahead and head to this pillar that we saw earlier, and this is basically a statue where we can access Pegasus, and Pegasus will take us to various places depending on where we're going from. This from Laconia, we actually go back to Arcadia, and well, in Arcadia we're going to be doing more grinding here. We're going to be grinding to 70 olives. Luckily, these grinds are a little bit easier because we do have the ability to jump higher and also have the sword, which will help our hitbox out a little bit. So yeah, we're just going to hang out up here for a little bit while the slimes all catch up to each other. Make sure they're all coming. We can even jump, they can't reach us. Just taunting them. So our goal here is 70 olives. We do not want more than 70 olives because we are going to lose them anyway. Because we will be using death warps in the next area. Even though it will be a little bit before we get there. But our next route is actually going to take us back to Argolis because we have something else that we have to do there now. That's a nice drop there. And then we'll follow it up with a few non-drops. So in the 90% speedrun, this actually would be our last grind. Unfortunately, we still need 160 olives after this, so we will be coming back to Arcadia every now and again for a little bit more grinding. But as I said, right now we are going for our 70 olives that will actually net us our sword in a little bit, our final sword, the best sword in the game, the Divine Sword. At 40 olives, so we're halfway there. And we also will be coming across another area where we can grab a few more. So for a few short here, we won't care too much. We will be able to get the remaining olives at a future time. But we want to try to get as close as possible here, just because this is, once again, the best grind spot. And of course, as I say that, my grinds aren't netting a lot of olives, which is quite unfortunate. There we go, that was a really nice drop there. Alright, just a little bit more. Come on, slimes. Help us out. Yeah, given where we are, I would say that we're probably in the back half. 64 isn't bad right now. We'll see if we can't get one or two more. And yeah, they're not spawning. So we'll get our remaining 5 at some other point. But first we're going to go to Argolis again. And one thing that you notice that I do right there, one of the interesting parts about this game is you actually carry your momentum through doors. So if your momentum is going left, you will start moving left when you exit the door. If you jump before entering some doors, you will actually jump coming out of the door, and you can immediately go to the treetop. So that's a a little trick I like to use sometimes to help manipulate where I go. And now we're going to use that Eye of Gray that we got to open up a hidden passage here. And this is actually going to allow us to go back and get our first love fragment in the game. And there are 3 total in the game, and what this is a little bit of story from our beloved that is trapped. And we need all 3 fragments in order to actually even enter the final temple. So there is Helen talking to us, talking about how she's bitten and, you know, hey, got to get a few of these and everything to help rescue me. So now we will make our way back. Bat's actually cooperating with me. Switch over to a heart because we will be using another one of those Pillars of the Sun. Very good pattern there to skip that. And now we are going back to Attica. Now that Shield of Athena that I mentioned earlier in Attica, we will be grabbing right now because, well, it's conveniently right there. Also, another thing is, you notice that I ducked down in front of the fountain. That actually refills my health, but it also refills my flask, and that flask will give me full health if I choose to use it at any point, which I may need to, so we'll see. I did use Athena for the Word of the Gods because the next area, which is Phthia, is actually extremely difficult and very easy to fall down pits in. So we're going to be hoping that we don't, but just in case we do. Also going to be getting our 70 olives in this area because all the scorpions and the satyrs help us. Also grabbing this key because that will get us to our second love fragment. So a lot of stuff going on here, and there are our final olive plus 1. So we're a little bit over, but that's fine. Now I can just jump, or try to jump over all these satyrs. And we're going to be heading to our next boss, which is Gaia. You wake Gaia up with the Ocarina, but the fight itself is very similar to that of the Cyclops that we saw earlier. Kill him. We'll leave that drop because that means he will not respawn over here. And the Gaia fight is actually a little scripted, except when he does that and just throws it right down on top of me. And now we are in Phthia. Really good music, very dangerous area. The monkeys don't like to cooperate. Here we are going to hope for a drop from this eagle, and we got it. That eagle will not respawn now. If that eagle respawns, it makes navigating the rest of this very, very difficult. We're going to hopefully duck underneath that monkey, then kill him on the rebound. And now the most dangerous part is these jumps. We're going to have 2 eagles. Of course, one has to be slow. Then we're going to manipulate. Okay. Totally missed my input, so head back over again. Get a few olives on the way. But that you have to manipulate that monkey and then jump your way over. The fact that it ate my input is actually really unfortunate because I had a pretty clear jump there, so it would have been pretty easy for me to get over the rest of the way. There's only a few more enemies past that, which are a lot easier to manipulate. So hopefully we get our 2. There's 1. We will also need to redo that Gaia fight, but that's fine. Maybe this time I'll show you how it's correctly done. So once again, this little bear here does not give us a drop this time, so you'll see him spawn below. Not really an issue unless Gaia knocks me down like he did the previous time, but no, he, of course, I missed the jump there. And this is where Gaia goes wrong, is when he can trap you against the wall and use the wall to really rebound his boulders at you. Luckily, there is a place I can refill my health up here, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll leave that drop once again. Have the monkey jump past us. jump down here. Go ahead and refill our health. More of a safety precaution, probably won't need it, but okay nonetheless. That monkey giving us a little bit of damage isn't going to be too much of a hassle. But the fact that the birds do 4 HP of damage with one of their stones or with their contact is not great, so we're going to avoid that if possible. Manipulate this monkey, jump past him, get past these little caterpillar snail things, and finally we're going to see Hephaestus, who will give us the Divinity Sword, the best sword in the game. Also gives us the ability to shoot lightning, which is very awesome. Oh, actually we do not want to get the Word of the Gods from him because we will be using a Death Warp. If we would Death Warp and continue, it would bring us back here, and well, that's just a nuisance. So there we go. Gonna come over here and jump over. We're gonna grab another ambrosia from this guy right here. And then we're gonna Death Warp because jumping back is just annoying. So this will take us to the start, and now we are going to head east. As you can tell, the lightning is very handy. Not going to bother picking up all this right now because we will be using another Death Warp here in a little bit. Pause a little bit to manipulate the Centaur because otherwise he becomes very, very annoying. And once again, we're going to be pulling out our Eye of Grey to open up another hidden passage, past the locked door, and here is Love Fragment number 2. So now we will head right and head out into the garden. The garden can be really annoying, so we are going to try to take our time a little bit with it, using our lightning to take out the plants. Also, the reason I didn't use my flask earlier is because the flask may be very necessary here with the upcoming Hydra fight. This Hydra fight is a lot more difficult than the previous one. Trying to manipulate it to where I can hit it up on its upswing like that. There we go, I have it in a good pattern now. I missed. And what this Hydra fight is going to net us with is the golden apple, which refills our health, but it also allows us to take half damage. And now we're just gonna do a lot of spamming because we want to go ahead and Death Warp again. And normally you have to wait until the lightning's off the screen, so if we're just throwing it off the screen to begin with, it takes a lot less time, even though it's still quite a bit. But that's actually quicker than walking back. So now we're gonna go ahead, switch to our harp here. And once again, we're going to use the harp. And this is going to actually take us back to Laconia. Use it one more time. Because, yeah, we're going to be doing some more grinding. So, what we are going to go for now is 90 olives. It is a lot of grinding. But this is actually the best time to do it, so yeah, we're just gonna have fun and keep grinding. As I said before, the grind is a lot easier with the sword and the sandals, so shouldn't take as long. All depends on the RNG and the luck that we get from the drops. So far, not the best. But halfway through our grind at about 45, we're actually going to go and enter and exit from Attica just to reset. Otherwise, as I said before, 75 is the maximum olives we could get, even if we were to spend all that time once it went to the half drop to get there. So because we want to get to 90 anyway, we might as well just reset everything. Good drop there. Typically in an ideal grind, you're going to see a lot of 2 drops and some 3 or 4s. Sometimes you'll be able to get really lucky, get a 5 or 6. But really what you don't want to see is a long string of kills where you only get bay leaf drops or no drops at all, just because it does happen, and that is the biggest time sink. So far we are actually having really good luck, especially with that 6 drop right there with our drops. So we'll see if we can ride this luck train a little bit longer. Unfortunately, all bay leaves there before we go to Attica. 42. So we'll see where we get. We'll take a few more stabs at this. Fortunately, nothing from that one. Okay, just a bunch of bay leaf drops now, apparently. Okay, we'll have one more spawn here, so... Okay, we're at 45. We'll go reset it and do this one more time. But do not worry, because after this upcoming one, we only really have one more grind like this. So after we finish this grind here in Arcadia, we will be heading to our next area, which is Crete. So that is going to be a new place. It is also probably my second favorite piece of music in this game. The last one, fortunately, we get to hear in this. In the any % route, we actually don't visit that area at all. So that's one reason why I do like the 100% route, is because I get to hear my favorite piece of music. Alright, so once again, we are going to 90 here. Now, we actually only need 80 for our next item, but we want to get to 90 because we are going to be relying on some drops while we're doing another grind in Argolis to sort of improve our olive count. So we don't want to rely on too many olives there. So we are going to try to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer so our remaining grinds aren't as bad. Pick that up. Okay, at 74, grind's not going too bad right now. Okay, about 8 more. So we're gonna start working our way over towards Attica, unless we're not getting any drops. And just like before, because we are going to Attica, we may be able to rely on the satyrs for a few drops, so if we're a few short, we'll just deal with it and go from there. Because apparently these slimes don't want to cooperate anymore, so we'll just go ahead and do what we can with the satyrs. Of course, when they drop bay leaves, that doesn't help us. Scorpions may be able to help us. Nope. Alright, there's 2. Three. So just 3 more. Four, 5. Just need you guys to spawn again. Cooperate a little bit for me. If I don't get anything off this next one, I'm just gonna go. Okay, he doesn't want to cooperate. We're just gonna go. Bring out our Arena and new dolphin path. Oh wait, wrong way. We're not going to there quite yet, so hey, there's our 90th. Completely forgot we need to go to Crete first. So luckily we do not need to fight Gaia again. We can just go right in and through the door. And luckily Thaya is not nearly as bad because all we need to do is get over to the Monument of the Sun. Switch over to our Ocarina now. Hope for a good monkey here. Good monkey. Really scary fish pattern there, but we did manage to deal with it. Now we are going to walk the entirety of this island onto the other side, and that is going to bring us to another part of the river. And we are now in Crete, which has some really good music. We will be visiting Crete twice because there are 2 purchasable items in here and we need olives for both, and well, we can't carry enough olives. Maximum you can carry is 99. So our first step will be visiting Ares, the god of war. How about I take the right door first? Alright, there we go. We'll just walk across the top there. And Ares is going to give us a bracelet, and what this bracelet does is it doubles our attack power, but it also allows us to use the lightning, and you notice that my stamina is no longer decreasing. So it's actually a really nice item. Makes a lot of the enemies a lot more trivial too, which is very convenient. How about I go right one? Left one, right one, and left one. Jump over that guy. He's going to chase us down, but the Talus will not catch us. He likes to back off anyway. But yeah, he'll just go walking over water. And what we are going to do is we're actually going to return to Argolis, and we'll be doing our next grind upcoming. Notice that we have Hermes spot again, but we're going to be grinding these salamanders, not only hoping for olives, but hoping for salamander skins. And what these salamander skins do for us is, well, they allow us to purchase a salamander shield in a little bit. So we're at 3. We need a total of 20. As you can tell, they do like to drop olives too, so that is going to help us out with our grinds. They also like to do damage, so we're going to be watching out for that. Music down here is not too bad, so we can at least deal with this. I believe that is number 5. If I'm not entirely sure, I can pause the screen. It should be 6, and double check, but I'll do that as we get closer. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9, 10. $11, 12, 'Gotta be careful now. I believe that's 13. We're gonna actually entice them up here to sort of help us out a little bit. Of course, they stopped dropping their skins, so that's kind of annoying right now. Entice them up here again. I believe that's 15, yes. $16. That should be 18. Jump back up here, and as you can see, my olive count is actually really good right now. That's 19 right there. If he drops one, that would be wonderful, but he doesn't. Okay, these serpents are not cooperating at all right now. There we go. There's our 20th. Just to ensure, yes, we are at 20, so we are good to go. So now we are going back to Arcadia one last time. We have to grind out 21 more olives. Not nearly as bad as anything else that we've had to do, so I'll take it. And then we get to enter, quite possibly, one of my favorite NES pieces of music, not just in Olympus, but in general. So that should be exciting. Now, it is an area that we don't normally have to visit in any percent, so I am not as well practiced in this area, so we shall see how it goes. And as you can see, my health refill is really quick. Unfortunately, that means no olive drops. Still no olive drops. And when I head back, normally we just head back directly to Attica, but I am going to head back through Argolis, just because it is going to drop me off right where I can refill my flask. I do want my flask to be full for Phrygia, because it is a dangerous place with a lot of dangerous enemies, even with all the provisions that I have. Need about 12 more olives first. Okay, there they are. So now we are just gonna head back. As I said, carry momentum up to the treetops. Makes dealing with the slimes and the little bear a lot easier. Pull out our harp. We'll just pause in midair. Switch back over to our ocarina. Alright, and now we're gonna head back to the place where we fought the Lamia. And we can actually cross the sea there, and that will take us over to Phrygia. Now, there are two ways to access Phrygia. You can access it through Attica or through Argolis. Argolis, though, is blocked off by a pillar. Now, we just recently discovered, like within the past month, that you can actually glitch your way through it with the dolphin, but we haven't incorporated that into the speedrun. We don't actually know if it's faster yet, so. But some of the best music in the game here. Jump and under. Dark Vegas is really no issue for us. Okay, we're gonna go right 2 doors. Gargoyle's not much of an issue. Go ahead and skip through that. Now, on the stairs, this isn't a problem. If he would have hit me, I would have actually gone backwards and ended up going into the pit. So, very important that I don't take that hit. And I shouldn't have... actually, it didn't matter. So we're going to go up all these steps. It's usually better to kill the gargoyles rather than chance taking damage from them. We're just going to take our time and kill this cobra. There we go. Just make sure I am going the right way. No, that's not right. I want to go down here too. There we go. No! Well, we're gonna have to eventually go back and grind out a few more because I don't think I took the save there. Should have taken the save with Athena when I went back, but... Luckily, we do not need... we do not quite yet need the olives, so we can sort of go back at and get a few more. Just gonna cost us a little bit more time. We'll get what we can from these gargoyles on the way up too. Once again, though, that is the dangerous part of this game, is just all the pits and everything else that you come across. Stairs do not save you, so there we go. Cobra down. Come up here because you actually don't fall when you're on steps, so they're actually somewhat a safe place to be. So we're gonna go down these steps into the door, not up the steps. We're not moonwalking here. And this is actually really interesting. But we will be able to get in here, get our last ambrosia, and a nice health refill that we desperately need. So we will be getting an item coming up that we actually won't use. No, come on. Okay, we'll take that. Alright, so finally we are able to make our way all the way up to Artemis to get the Moon Pearl. You'll see in a little bit why we would need that, but you'll also see why we aren't going to use it. Because, well, we don't use it in the any percent run, so why would we need it in the 100% run? So we'll just take the long jump here. Another face-to-face with Dark Pegasus. Same idea as before, just jump over the first one, duck under the second one, and we're away. Okay, so we're back in Attica here. Gonna go ahead, head back to Arcadia just to re-up our olive count. Luckily, this one isn't too far out of the way. We normally would have to come back through Attica anyway, so it's just a short detour back to Arcadia to do this grind. But of course, any additional grinding is definitely more annoying than not having to do it, so... Get all worms together. After this grind, we are going to be heading back to Crete. We have 2 more things we need to get there, and then we are ready for our final area of the game. So we are slowly reaching that area, but just need to do a little grinding first. Overall, I would say doing this has been definitely more interesting for a marathon, just because it's fun to learn stuff, and doing it in a marathon forces me to actually grind it out without taking any resets or anything like that. So definitely been a first fun playthrough of this, even if it is timed. But definitely something I will be continuing more, and it also encourages me to grind out any percent a lot more as well. So we need 15 more olives here. Down to 10. And luckily for us, between here and where we actually have to spend the olives, there is very minimal place to die, and there we're at our 80. From then on, continuing is actually not going to hurt us because losing olives will no longer matter. So we are in the home stretch where deaths are not going to be detrimental anymore. So we're going to go ahead, head down these steps. Switch over to our harp right now. Last time in Thaya. We'll let the monkey hit us. We would rather that than falling down the pit there. That's about the only place that we can die. Okay, switch over to our ocarina. On the island, gonna use the ocarina once more and head over to Crete again. Take a hit by a fish, apparently. Once again, just jump over the Talos here. And now we're going to take a slightly different route in here. We're going to go left twice. Here's one. And here we're actually going to have to kill this not Dark Nut, as we call them here. Go right one. Left one. And we are going to get our Salamander Shield. Completely useless, blocks fire, we don't need it. But, well, we do because of the 100%. So we're gonna go back through that previous door. We're gonna go right to 1, 2, and hey, we got our final piece right here. Don't need that. And we got to fight with the Minotaur. Definitely an interesting fight because typically one of the hardest bosses in the game, but we can just stun lock him and just do this. And we get to talk to the fairy for our final fragment of love. And what this is going to do, before we took that path from Crete to Argolis, there is going to be an area that opens up within here that we can actually enter, and that is going to take us to Tartarus, or the underworld. So, easy walk out, just walk along the ceiling. One, 2, 3. Final jump up here over our Talos. Play our ocarina again. And hey, look, it's an entrance. So, there is a hint for this in somewhere, but it's left, right, left. And it takes us into a battle with Cerberus. The, three-headed dog that we only have to kill 2 heads of. Easy enough. Now the not so easy part is these next 2 areas, the haunted forest. This area is actually dangerous because if we die here, well, we have to fight Cerberus again. So we're going to take it slow to make sure we don't do that. Jump up here. There we go. So that area where the song restarts, that is a checkpoint. So if we die, we will restart there. Skip through that Cobra. avoid the fire. Once again, another checkpoint. We got some nice ghosts here to take care of. They're a lot more annoying when you don't have the power bracelet, but we do, so not as annoying. Manipulator bats as well. Even taking damage to them isn't that big of a deal. Now if we would want to, we could go ahead and refill our health there, but we are actually pretty good on health, and we do have our flask still. So last area here, just jumping over a few more not dark nuts. They're actually Amazons. And we are now in the Temple of Hades. Final stage. Definitely takes some navigation to get through. That damage is rather insignificant, so we're not too worried about it. Take out a few gargoyles here. Manipulate our snakes to where we can just do that. Not that. So we'll just do this again. As I said, if we have the flask, we're not too worried. My jump input doesn't want to work. Okay, there we go. So now we're just going to be jumping over a lot of serpents. No need to kill them when we can just avoid them. Now we will take out these gargoyles. Simple enough. Just jumping over left, jump over this serpent. One more gargoyle right here. That serpent will move left. Normally he'll actually jump up to the right there, so we can actually duck under him when he jumps, but that's fine too. Jump on this line, jump. Now we're going to wait on the stairs because these gargoyles like to troll. Almost lost it there, but we're good. And the scariest jump in the game, because this is actually a required jump, and it is very, very hard to hit. We're going to damage boost off this serpent, go down, wait here on the third step, he'll pass us, we can jump underneath. Now I'm going to be quiet here because this is all audio. And time will be when I touch Aphrodite here, or Eurydice, and time. Oh, that's fine. We can watch the VOD to see what the time was. But yeah, so that is Battle of Olympus. It was quite a bit longer than typically it will be on a 100% speedrun, but overall, after the few unnecessary deaths, we did make it through. And sit tight because I believe we are going to have a little bit of setup, and then we are going to be getting ready for a few of our next runners. So yeah, stay tuned.